You're invited to imagine what's next. What the next view you wake up to will be. Where your next adventures will start from. Your perfect space to entertain. And your sanctuary to unwind in. As you begin to imagine your new place, we'll be here to help you find it. Because nothing compares to what's next. Sotheby'sRealty.com.
Out to learn to ride a scooter, Delhi woman gang raped in Ghaziabad. That's the headline that we read. This is yet another recent horrific headline that tells us how unsafe are Indian cities. A 23 young woman working in a factory asked two of her friends, a male and a female, to help her how to learn how to ride the scooter when she was dragged to bushes and raped by three men. Just imagine what this act of extreme violence and violation have done to this young woman, to her mind, her body, dreams, ambitions and life, and the devastation it has brought to her family. Now, is it any wonder that every parent of family starts worrying desperately if they can't reach their daughters who are out and about? I do it. For some reason, if I'm unable to reach my daughter, I go into a panic state. And I never feel the same sense of dread if I can't reach my son. That's the reality in a rapidly urbanizing and rising India. I don't think a day goes by without a case of violence being reported against a woman. On the urban agenda, we ask, what will it take to create safe and inclusive cities in our country? Economic progress means nothing if half the population steps out of their home every day, always watching their back. Now joining me on the show, Kiran Bedi, former Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, who has served the United Nations as civilian police advisor in peacekeeping operations, and the first woman to have joined the officer rank of Indian Police Service in 1972. Also with us, Nandita Shah, co-founder and co-director at Akshara Centre, an NGO working to the empowerment of women and girls. Kalpana Vishwanath, co-founder and CEO of Safetipin, a social enterprise that technology to data drives safe movement of women in urban spaces. Kiran Bedi, ma'am, I'm going to come to you first. We know what the reality is. The National Commission for Women reported a 30% rise in crimes against women in 2022, now, which surpassed the highest number of complaints in 2014. My question to you is that we have a Prime Minister who says that we have to respect women on the 75th anniversary, independence anniversary of India. It's not as if the state is not reiterating its intention to provide protection and safe zones to women, but we're still not reaching anywhere. Why?
Because we're not reaching every home. We are not reaching every home. Every child, every rapist, boy rapist, is a product of his home. And we are not reaching his home. And if you don't reach home, how much correction will it be done in the school and colleges? All of us, you and I, whatever we're thinking, is a product of the way we were brought up. And this is not being stated for the first time. Unless we value, understand how important nurturance is in crime prevention, we will not be able to prevent these horrific crimes. And parents who nurtured their sons properly, their sons are doing very well and they continue to respect women. But it's those homes which have let us down, where they are, it's like outsourcing to the streets. What they've done is they have outsourced the upbringing of their boys to the streets. And what will street groom? I think that's where. So we must say, and we do say that we must respect, we must stop these crimes. But the door stops and begins at every home. It doesn't stop. It begins with every home, but doesn't stop there. Then there are many other agencies outside the home. But they are all reactive. They also have a prevention element, I agree, but they also are reactive. But I think, look, a decent home doesn't produce a rapist. It's a neglected home which produces a rapist. So unless we address every home, and look at the colossal size of the problem. It's every home, because every home is producing a good citizen and a bad citizen. Look, we are on women largely schemes. We are women empowerment schemes. But why are we not on boys' responsibility schemes? We can also provide
Wow.
incentives. Why not?
I,
Boy
I think
incentive
I
schemes.
think this should be something that must become the focus and agenda of the central government and all the newly appointed state governments as well, as they take come to power and take responsibility of their chairs. I'm going to move to Nandita Shah. You're running a campaign to do exactly that, for women to stand up, for people around to stand up, to bring a change in mindset and say, look, we are not going to take violence or even anything remotely disrespectful to women, right? Run us through how you perceive can our public spaces and cities be made safer, and what have you done to make that happen?
Okay, so I'm going to take from where Kiran Bedi stopped. Prevention is absolutely critical, but is home the only place of prevention? And what about the larger gender narrative that happens in society? And how do we change that? Because it's reinforcing everything. What's being cool, what's being masculine, and what is a toxic masculinity? And it's not enough for parents to be able to counter that. So I agree that the prevention is very important, and Akshara works a lot, and as you say, we will discuss the mindset change. But I think that our emphasis even on being responsive tends to be only increase policing, increase, like a lot of Nirbhaya funds are used for CCTV camera, and we feel that they have to be equally uh, used for ensuring the services are available, that services are being able to support a woman who comes and fights for the rights. And it's not only about rape. See, when we tend to come to point of rape, like in Nirbhaya, everybody's out and everybody's very upset and very angry. But we are saying that when somebody touches and gropes my breast, is the beginning of that sense of power that a man feels that he can get away. And when are we going to stop that? Because that is something that we just let go. Sometimes as women, we say that, every day I'm not going to fight this, because this is an everyday experience. We did a survey in Mumbai city, and 95% of women had said that they have experienced street sexual harassment. I mean, in a city like Mumbai, which is seen as so safe, each one of us have had some experience of street sexual harassment. So
And
our plea is, let's begin where it doesn't seem so violative, like in rape. Give up on this kind of issue, because this is an everyday experience. And how much emphasis we are giving to the street lighting, we are giving to infrastructure improvement, because these are all part of making a city safer. And that's where we feel that, like we do safety audits of different areas, and we try and take those examples of what is not working in our street to the corporators, to the BMC authorities, to say, let's change it. Let's change it together so that it becomes a place where we can all feel safe using that area. We are also working with the police, because we feel that police are doing what they can, but they have to take one extra step. Like in Mumbai,
so my question is, yes, a mindset change is needed, a big campaign is needed, but throw light. You've been part of the system, of the government, of the police system. How do we fill these gaps of at least spending money which is allotted for important response systems by the police and the system?
Certainty of punishment is also prevention. Because if the culprits know that we will get caught and we will get convicted, we will get imprisoned, we will get life imprisonment, it's a prevention. But it's a deterrence. I agree with you. So every 2 people you catch, there'll be 20 waiting on the sidelines to one day again do it. That's why it's reoccurring. We are not at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is prevention at the source and the role of the community. Unless you address the root cause lies in the society itself.
All right, so mindset is one big thing, but what, according to you, are the biggest gaps in making our urban systems safe?
Yeah, I will identify, I think, about four gaps which I see. Okay, so one is the physical infrastructure. So this includes just making our streets walkable, the pavements walkable, the good lighting, which is something which should be there across cities, an active street front, so that when women are actually standing, walking, using the streets, because data shows that women walk more than they use other modes of transport, it is essential to have that. So just physical infrastructure needs to be addressed. The second big lacuna is mobility and transport, because one of the big issues of living in a city is getting from place to place. How do you get your educational institution? How do you get to work? So the whole arena of making public transport safer, but also addressing the issue of last mile connectivity. It is fine you have the metro, but when you get off the metro, how do you get back? So the last mile connectivity is equally important as addressing the actual transport system. So that is the second big area. The third area, I think, is the response when an incident of violence takes place or when a woman is feeling unsafe. We have a plethora of helplines and other these things, but nobody really knows how well are they working. And when you say, oh, there's an emergency button inside a cab or a bus, I'm not sure, is there a proper sort of help center beyond that button that is there available? So I think the response to cases of violence, the response when someone presses the help button, the fact that emergency numbers should be put very boldly in all public transport. This is the third thing which is very important, because, we want to be safe all the time. But when we are particularly feeling unsafe or when something has happened, we need really quick response. We need efficient response. We need non-judgmental response. And I think that is still a big lacuna that we have. And the fourth is, I think, recognizing the levels of inequality in our cities. So, a young woman, maybe a disabled young woman in a low-income neighborhood faces much more inequalities and barriers on her journey towards being a full citizen.
All right. I have to take a break, but I think it's an important question to ask, because this gender differentiation, gender biases are not just Indian. They are widely prevalent globally in some of the most educated countries. So, setting those or equalizing those is going to take a very long time. I'm going to come back to prevention again after the break and get those solutions from Ms. Bedi and Ms. Shah in terms of how do we make our cities more safe. Stay with us.